1 year later, we know the answer. We did respond. We would be strong. We would be united. And the world would not look the other way. We also face fundamental questions about the commitment to the most basic of principles. Would we?
And the news of an uptick in inflation is one that nobody wants to hear at this point. It could lead to a shift in another round of stimulus aid for the public. It's easy to see why consumers might associate high levels of inflation with stimulus. When the cost of living are high, people are apt to start struggling. And stimulus checks greatly help Americans because it helps them better cope with inflation as the cost continues to surge. According to experts, stimulus checks have not been used as a means of targeting inflation. Rather, stimulus checks have generally come into play during periods when employment has been high and consumer spending has declined. One thing we know for sure is that the national jobless rate recently held and reached a 54-year low. A 54-year low that means people might be suffering a little longer. Because the national jobless rate recently held and reached a 54-year low, and the economy added more than 1 million jobs in January. Some people say that this is a reason for the factors that help explain why inflation was so high last month, because so many people are still suffering.
Get set for more money, possibly. There are reports of a fourth check, and we want to get you over to KCTV5's Kelly Taylor at the 5 Alert Desk. Good morning to you, Kelly.
Good morning, Joe. Well, here's what we know right now. Congress is already working on the next relief bill. 10 Senate Democrats want a fourth stimulus check, and if that happens, you wouldn't see that money until October. Now, this group also wants to keep extending unemployment insurance. The latest extension expires September 6th. No word yet on how much the checks would be or the eligibility requirement.
We have huge announcements on the fourth stimulus payments. Monthly stimulus checks are finally beginning to go out, and it's due to the crisis. However, dozens of Democrats are calling for immediate action, and this can mean billions of dollars being allocated toward new stimulus programs. Now, here is some breaking news. Dozens of House Democrats have actually been calling on caucus leadership to extend the enhanced child tax credit in the lame duck session. It comes as lawmakers look to tick off more legislative priorities in the final weeks of the passing bills. And members of the new Democratic coalition, it's the largest Democratic coalition in the House, wrote a letter to Nancy Pelosi. They said that they want more stimulus payments out. They wrote a letter to Nancy Pelosi, Senator Clyburn, and Bernie Sanders. The letter wrote that lawmakers want and demand prioritizing the stimulus checks and child tax credit in a end-of-year package before 2023. Congress also said they expanded child tax credit in the American Rescue Plan, a $1.9 trillion relief bill that President Biden signed just weeks into his presidency is about to happen. The measure increased the child tax credit from $2,000 to $3,600 and $3,000 for other children under 18. Congress did manage to include a form of paid family leave in the CARES Act, and it's the first legislative response to the crisis. But with the Senate narrowly leading the Republicans this time, a lack of GOP willingness to renew these benefits meant that paid family leave expired at the end of the year. The last payment with the enhanced provision was sent on December. And now, according to a study, nearly 4 million people fell into poverty in January after this provision expired. So the group of lawmakers also said that the enhanced child tax credit lifted millions of people out of poverty, giving parents the flexibility to return to work and provided families a stronger opportunity to exceed. Democrats believe that we must extend the enhanced child tax credit so families and children have the resources and opportunities to flourish. The lawmakers are also pushing for Congress to advance the research and development tax credit fix, which the new Democratic coalition said is essential to investing in American competitiveness. So the research and development, everybody, said that some domestic expenses have because of companies. A measure in the 2017 Tax Cuts and Jobs Act, crafted by Republicans, enacted a provision that requires companies to seek deductions under a tax credit over 5 years, rather than after the first year. According to Democrats, the research and development tax credit has helped foster the competitiveness and innovation of U.S. economy and American businesses. So folks, now don't forget about this. If you did not receive a monthly child tax credit check and have not filed your taxes, you must do so to receive the extra money. Taxpayers can actually claim the benefit and payment by filing a tax return. However, this year's tax season ended very, very early, so you may be able to still get the money if you claim the credit by filing a return after those dates. However, since both deadlines have passed, the amount of money you're eligible for would be reduced by penalties, and refunds would be less than expected. So hopefully, everybody, we see President Biden take up and send out the stimulus payments before President before the end of the year.
It's an honor. It's an honor to once again participate in this critical summit. And I'd like to thank our host, President Sisi, for bringing us together at this pivotal moment. Thank you, Mr. President. Let me start by acknowledging that this day is a day of commemoration at home in the United States. It's Veterans Day. America's veterans and their families, survivors and caregivers, are the very spine and soul of the United States. And on this special day, on every day, I honor all of those who sacrificed for our nation like my son. I want to thank one proud American veteran, a lifelong public servant, a dear friend, and literally one of the most decorated men to fight, Special Envoy for Climate, John Kerry. John.
On Social Security, I want to commend President Biden for taking the leadership in this area, who campaigned across the country assuring Americans that Social Security was a sacred trust.
Single filers who meet this qualification will receive a $250 payment from the state. Married couples who filed their 2021 New Mexico state taxes jointly will receive a July rebate if they earn less than $150,000 in adjusted gross income in 2021. For those who meet this threshold, the rebate will be $500. The rebate should begin being processed this month. It will likely take the full month for all the rebates to get out to all eligible taxpayers. The state will pay July rebates automatically via direct deposit banking information on file with the state. The state expects to send about 710,000 rebates, with the split between single filers and joint filers around 50-50. Government officials said some checks might be less than $250 or $500 if taxpayers incorrectly calculated their income payments and are still owed money, or if they filed late and have been assessed interest. In addition, you might not receive a rebate if you were declared as dependent on someone else's return. New Mexico reinserts have gotten a lot of tax relief so far in 2022. New Mexico became the last state to exempt Social Security income from taxes when Governor Michelle Lujan signed a sweeping tax legislation, which helped many people. Shocking news. President Biden has released and announced a new executive order. He will be taking action on it very soon. The lawmakers are trying to include new provisions into a new spending bill, and this means a fourth round of stimulus may be sent out sooner than later. The House Majority Caucus has already proposed a $1,300 payment to people in Alaska to provide relief for high fuel costs, inflation, and the crisis. The House Majority said the bill includes an energy relief check. The money will be in addition to Alaska's annual permanent fund dividends. Democratic Representative Neil Foster said the current $110 price per barrel of oil was a major reason for the proposal. He told reporters prices of fuel at the pump for gasoline and heating fuel are going up, and as Alaskans face these high prices, the state of Alaska is going to see more revenue come into the coffers. And so we believe that we should be helping provide Alaskans with relief.